call the meeting to order. Susie, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Canfield,
Here.
Councilmember Chambers,
Here.
Councilmember Salzweedl,
Here.
and Mayor DeVore.
I'm here. I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda for today.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
I'll support.
Any discussion or changes? Sue?
Councilmember Canfield,
Yes.
Mayor DeVore,
Yes.
Councilmember Salzweedl,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers.
Yes.
All right. Citizen comment for items not on the agenda. Anything other than the consideration of recreational marijuana? No? All right, with that, we'll go to item 4, the action. Turn it over to Mike this afternoon, this morning.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Just to clarify, what we're discussing this afternoon is the consideration to allow commercial recreational marijuana facilities within the city of Lowell. On November 6th, voters in the state of Michigan approved a initiative agenda that did allow for the consideration of recreational marijuana in the state of Michigan. There are a number of parameters under the law as to what they're legally allowed to possess and have. So for the discussion today, the person for their at-home marijuana use, that is now legal. That's not what we're discussing. There was a provision in the statute, in the approved ballot language that was approved by the Board of Canvassers Monday, that allows for the municipality to determine whether or not they want to opt out of the allowing commercial recreational marijuana facilities within their said municipality. That is what we will be discussing this afternoon. Before we begin, I think it's important to show you, if you were to, as of right now, you are opted in, you have to formally opt out. So if we were to stay opted in, there is areas in the city that where this can go and where this cannot. Mainly the main issue is you cannot have a facility within 1,000 feet of a school, and it cannot be in a residential neighborhood. And what we did was, the police chief, he's going to show you on a map here in a second where these can go, because he went and measured out the 1,000 feet from where the schools are in the city to show you basically, and I'll give you an idea that if you did approve this, where the facilities could go. So I'm going to turn this over to Chief Bugler.
Okay. There has been a little bit of lag on the internet, so if it does get too much lag, I'm going to refer to the zoning map. This is the Access Kent portal for Kent County GIS, and this is similar to what we do when a sex offender moves into town and they ask if they can live within a certain area of the city. So since the parameters are the same, 1,000 feet, I was pretty familiar with where these buildings can go and where they can't go. Located right here is Unity High School. This is the building just north of the police department. Located over here, I've marked it, is United Methodist Church. This is a preschool that's operated out of here pretty much since I've been here the last 23 years or better. So with that being said, everything on East Main Street is totally not in play. No one can operate a facility from that area. The area, what we can do is we can take this graphic. I'm going to look at my computer versus the screen. We're going to draw a line and measure. And you can pretty much see where 1,000 feet is. And it starts on the other side of Broadway. You're at 981 feet from the parcel. So approximately there it would start. And if you come to this corner of the property, you can bring it out 1,000 feet. And it brings you right about where the Lowell Arts Council is on the north side. So anything on the south side of the street from that point on would be in play. Nothing on Foreman would be available because of the proximities of the schools, so everything in the industrial area on Foreman would not be in play, and you could not put a facility there. As far as East Main, I said something in error. The only place it could go would be this area out here with progressive heating and cooling. That is an industrial or general business, light industrial zoning. Another area that was looked at to make sure was Rollaway, because that had been for sale at one point, and that is also zoned general business. That would not be in play because it is too close to the preschool located at United Methodist Church. So the only place out on East Main it could go would be where progressive heating and cooling is, if you're familiar with that area. Going back to West Main Street, we'll mark the property of Bushnell Elementary and draw 1,000 feet out. I'm sorry, that's the wrong corner. Let me clear that out. It has to go from the property line because I know this area here was in the plans for the school if they ever needed to expand or build another school, elementary school. So you go from the property line out to, so this is a vacant property that is actually zoned public facility, but that's you would have to go to this front corner. You're at 923 feet, so you're going to bypass that. So that one's not in play, but this one is next to Rite Aid. You're at 1,200 feet from a school, so this piece of property, there could be a facility there. And any of this industrial property out here is in play. So anything on the, we'll call it the Tractor Supply, movie theater, plaza, any of those would be available. Anything on the south side of the street, actually I believe it's right here, the small mini mall, and then any of this out here could be is zoned proper for a facility, manufacturing facility.
What about the area on Jackson?
Oh, yes, if there was a potential sale of property, Dependable Gas is far enough away from the, back over. So if you go from the preschool, I'm going to move in a little bit closer. So the church is here. If you drew a line from there down, you're down Division, you're at 1,000 feet. I mean, and Dependable Gas is way up here, so you would be at well over the 1,000 feet. So Dependable Gas property, if that was ever to sell, could be it's zoned properly, but it is in the floodplain, so that is the other issue that they would have to contest with. Any questions on zoning and locations and where they could go?
This has to do with grow shops, right?
Commercial.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, any of the facilities that are allowed under the statute would be eligible.
Any of the 5 or 6 licenses,
Right.
they're all
Is it only schools or are churches included?
schools.
Schools only, but there is a school that is operated out of the church, which is why that church was used as an example.
Public or private schools.
Right. That is all I have, unless you have any other questions.
So the whole downtown is protected really, right?
No, I'll go back to the zoning map here. So basically, East Main is out of play except for the area where progressive heating and cooling is. Once you get across the river, It starts just on the other side of Dr. Regan's Denver Street, or the, like where the Lowell Arts Council is, and then the south side of the road.
It goes to Broadway.
Correct. Then that's where it could go into play. It's easier than me trying to find it on the computer.
Thanks, Steve. I'm now going to turn everything over to the city attorney just to advise you of what your options are. Again, I also did provide you some information that the city attorney gave me to share with you. So I'm going to turn it over to the city attorney real quick.
Thank you, Mike. Quickly, let me again kind of review what's before you today and what's not before you today. And first of all, what's not before you today is the right of a person to possess and to transport marijuana, possess it, transport it, and use it within their own home. And a person, without the city council doing anything today, has the right to do that. They can possess 2.5 ounces, can have 10 ounces in their home, and can cultivate 12 plants within their home. And they can utilize in smoke or eat or whatever, consume, as long as it's consumed in a place within their home that's not open and obvious to people. So that's not in play today. That's not an issue that the council should deal with or has to deal with. What is in play, though, is whether or not this city would permit marijuana facilities to be located within the city, within the areas that the police chief indicated are the potential areas where they could be located. And there's really six different types. You can't limit it to one specific type, but there's growers, processors, security transporters, processing centers, which are really retail stores, safety compliance businesses, and what they call a micro business, which is a smaller operation where someone could cultivate up to 150 plants. And what's before you today is, for your consideration, is an ordinance which, if you approved it, would opt out of the ability to have those facilities, those establishments within the city. And there's two ordinances that you have before you, and I need to explain those. You received a copy of each of those. The first ordinance would prohibit these facilities and would prohibit the use of marijuana in any public place, which, by the way, is the fact anyway, without doing anything. And it would, if you pass it as an emergency measure, it would require a vote of 4 or all of the council members today, and that would take immediate effect. The importance of that is that under the provisions of Proposal 1, the ordinance doesn't become effective, or the provision doesn't become effective until 10 days after certification by the Board of Canvassers. Monday, the Board of Canvassers certified the election, so you have technically until December 6th to take action that you know is solid action and wouldn't be reversed or couldn't be reversed. It takes 4 votes. The other ordinance that's in front of you would not take immediate effect if it passed, and of course it would have to pass. It would only require a majority of you to approve that. That ordinance would not take effect until 10 days after it is published in the local newspaper, the Lowell Ledger. There's no way that that can happen before December 6th. And so the issue there is, if you adopt that ordinance, which you can and have the right to do, it may be subject to some questioning later on that you didn't adopt it and have an ordinance effective before December 6th. Now, as has been, I think, explained to you in a prior meeting that we have, can't give you a clear answer on that because no one knows the answer to that, unfortunately. Probably that won't get some clarification until LARA, the state regulatory body, comes up with their rules and regulations. And they have 12 months to do that. And so we really don't know for sure what those requirements will be. So you have two choices. One, adopt an ordinance. If you adopt it, you can turn a vote down, obviously. Adopt an ordinance, give an emergency effect, which would mean it will take effect before December 6th. Or if you elect to adopt, you can turn that down. An ordinance that doesn't have immediate effect, it requires only, let's see, 3 votes rather than 4 votes here. So those are your choices. Questions?
Anything else?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll move then, before council comment to public comment. We're gonna have to, how many people want to speak on this? I don't think you need it. And you have 5 letters?
I have, I think, 8.
8, okay. And then come to the podium, give your name and address, and then you'll have up to 5 minutes. Steve, can you keep that for me? Thank you. All right. Any, whoever wants to go first?
Hello, my name is Krista Wetzel. I'm a resident at 829 Monroe Street, and I am also the executive director at Alpha Family Center down the road. I just wanted to voice my opinion to you today as a very involved citizen in this community, and I care very deeply for the families we serve, specifically at Alpha, but then also our community at large. I definitely want to be a part of providing a healthy community. And I know we can't change the vote of the election, and I'm not going to speak in regards to my opinion on that one way or another, but I feel like as far as this decision as a city, you make a statement by putting this restriction that we do want to have caution here still with this. I have, in my years of, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I have a master's in counseling, and have worked for nearly 20 years in social service fields, and have worked and been trained with addictions of sorts, and I have seen the effects that marijuana does have on family, despite some difference of opinion on that. And I just feel like there's some concern when I look at the evidence of what has gone on in other states, that we just make it a little too easily accessible, and we make a statement of that there's no harm whatsoever. And I still think that we as a city have a responsibility to declare that there is some restriction that needs to take place. I just wanted to mention I'm a chamber member, Rotarian, Women's Club member, and definitely care very deeply that we make a wise decision on that. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you, Crystal. Mr. Hodges.
Thank you. Jim Hodges, 422 North Jefferson Street. I'd like to just throw in my 2 cents that I would hope that you keep your options open. I do think that it's something that you should consider. You can't chase it away. It's going to be around. You might as well deal with it straightforward and regulate it as best we can within our community. But I think that we should consider, and good luck with your decision, making retail sales available within our community by restricting the locations and so forth. I think that would help. But to put our head in the sand, I think is not a good way for our community to move forward. And there's some opportunities for us. So good luck. But my opinion is yes, we should move forward.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Hi, I'm David Overholt. I live at Sydney, Michigan. I'm not a resident here. Advocate for medical marijuana. It's done in the past for me. for a bunch of soldiers that I've served with, a bunch of cancer people that I help, and a lot of children that have seizures. And a lot of those parents and veterans are traveling to long distances to get their meds. And I'm only here to hope I can persuade you that there's needed at least a medical type facility in this village somewhere. I don't know where, and it's up to you guys to decide that. There needs to be a safe access for the people that do qualify. We're not going to see recreational for well over a year. We don't need these people to be traveling to Detroit and Lansing and Ann Arbor, especially in the middle of winter, to try to get their meds, which is happening every day. So I implore you, Belding has opted in. Ionia City has opted in. These are your communities right around you. I mean, and I think they're trying to do the right thing by listening to the will of their people. That's all they're trying to do is listen to the voters, and they're trying to restrict this. And I hope people have witnessed what they've seen on TV, on Fox 17 in the last week, where they sent a reporter out to the dispensaries in Colorado. They've visited a different one pretty much every day. It's pretty impossible for anybody that doesn't belong there to get in there and get marijuana. It's just impossible. And that's how we're going to keep this out of our children's hands, is if we regulate it in a safe manner, similar to the alcohol. And with recreational coming on board in the next year, actually in the next few days, you're going to see every resident 21 years or older able to grow 12 plants. I believe December 6th. I think that's December 6th.
12.
You can grow 12 plants. Now, if everybody is growing 12 plants, and some of the people possess abilities to grow a lot of marijuana on a plant, well excess of a half a pound or more, and they can continue to grow them once they're finished, to put a new crop in. Now, how is this gentleman here going to ever go out and keep that marijuana out of those children's hands? That's how it's going to get there, because we're not going to have regulation. And these people are still allowed to go do what they do. So if we put in facilities, you're going to see less people going to the black market for them, to those people, and then drive them out of business. Plain and simple. You need to have a facility or else they're going to flourish. And as December 6th, they get to start. They get to start. And what, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks? There's going to be product on the streets here. Probably more than there was through the MMA. Because more people have driver's license than they do white cards. So at the end of the day, regulation is, the way I see it, is the only sensible way to go with this, so that you can at least have the people of the city safe when they're doing that, to have quality access for it, and have the cards to prove they're to be there. Also for law enforcement to keep tabs on it, and through the system that's set up now, totally seed-to-sales tracking, so there won't be any black market industry invading that industry. Totally impossible. And if we don't allow that to form, then that black market can invade anywhere. And that's just the way it is. And with that, I thank you for at least having the time to listen to the people of the city. I respect everybody's opinion on this issue. I've seen it do wonders for people, and I've also seen it ruin lives. The lives I've seen it ruin generally are people that have had other issues with drugs or crime, and they get in situations, I've seen it happen. But people that use this medicine respectively as medicine are law-abiding citizens. They don't go out in the parks and avenues and use the product in their cars or vehicles. They try to use it as sensible medicine, just like they would do anything else prescribed by their doctor. With that being said, thank you very much, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just to clarify a couple of points that were made. Number one, medical marijuana is not before you, so it's not an issue with medical marijuana that you're dealing with today. Secondly, the fact that someone can grow within their own home, to possess and cultivate and use within their own home, you have no ability to regulate or control that. That has already been determined by passage of Proposal 1. So anything you do today, one way or the other, would have no effect on that.
Good afternoon. My name is Roy Schmidt. I'm from Grand Rapids, but
my blood, my eldest son and daughter, and most importantly, my granddaughter that live here in Lowell. And I've been an advocate with Dave, who just spoke. I look at it on 3 different issues. To me, one of the biggest is justice. I know we're approving it. We definitely want to keep it out of the hands of 21 years and younger. Absolutely. But I've seen in my time as a city commissioner, as a state representative, so many lives that got ruined or marked because of medical marijuana or marijuana. And while that's taken care of, hopefully, you know, I can't stress enough how being proactive, not getting crazy, but providing that access to the people that need it. I agree. I looked and I commend, like you, like Dave stated, that, you know, you have options, you're looking at them, you want to start out right, but most importantly, you know, give it the opportunity. So my son, he doesn't really smoke, but let's just say, for example, that he doesn't have to drive to Grand Rapids or to do other things to get medical marijuana if he wanted to. And I need to talk about my other son. My other son spent 6 months on a special mission in Afghanistan and came back a different son. And it's heartbreaking for a mother and father, but that's what you do when you go in the service. So we understand it. He's getting help, and he's also medical marijuana has done wonders for him. And I'm very thankful that there was something there to help him. So I've been in that seat before, and there's always, it's a tough job and it's tough decisions, but it's here to stay. It's to me, alcohol is, they recently did a study that they couldn't find one benefit of alcohol. Now it's out there, we use it. I have no problem having to drink it. Back to Frank Blaine when I was younger. I don't like hangovers anymore, but you understand my point. I just think that, you know, common sense, this drug has done a lot more good than it's done worse. I had serious health issues. I got off Vicodin, methadone. I mean, this was to treat it, and then afterwards, that's all I take is ibuprofen and some medical marijuana at night. It really has helped and saved my life. It's really helped and saved my veteran son's life. More importantly, please think about everybody when you make this decision. I respect whatever you might do and appreciate the openness, and it's sure nice to see my old friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Derek Devine. I live at 1218 Valley Vista. Yeah, first I'd like to talk about is alcohol. Okay, when I moved here 30 some years ago, the only place you could get alcohol was the beer store. All right. Every gas station now has alcohol. Everyone, even Admiral, even Shell, that never had alcohol. And all of a sudden they have it. With the opiates on the street, tons of them, people are dying left and right from this addiction. Left and right. I've found needles, I've found paraphernalia everywhere in our town. And we have to think even a second about allowing a dispensary in town. You know, what would a dispensary, what negativity would it bring to our town? Would it take the people that are on the opiates, maybe they'll go and smoke a joint? Would it hurt them? Maybe they wouldn't do any more. Maybe they would continue going to that store. You know, think about the people that are, you know, strung out on everything, that could use this right in their town instead of dropping needles by the police station. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, I'm a little nervous because I've never done this before. Okay, my name is Debbie Miller Nieto, and I live at 172 South Center Street. And I'm medically a hot mess. I've had surgeries for my back. The doctors told me I'm a 81-year-old lady, my back is. So after working 40 years in a retirement nursing home, I have been taking an opiate since 2013, and I'm tired of taking the drugs. They're expensive and they're addicting, and fortunately I do not believe I'm addicted. All I want is a dispensary here in my hometown that, according to your rules and what your guidelines, because I am not interested in growing the plants in my own home. I'm just not interested, and so I'd like to see a dispensary in our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gary Stevenson. I don't live in Lowell anymore, but I used to. I grew up here. I just had a handful of points. First off, marijuana is already being sold here. It has since I was a kid. With the ability to grow it, with the ability to go to Lansing and pick it up, Grand Rapids and pick it up, it's going to be sold here. There's a lot of money for you to make tax revenue-wise by having it sold here instead of there. There's no reason for them to be driving there to give them your money. It doesn't make sense. In addition to that, you're not getting any tax revenue from the people who are just selling it to each other, which is what's going to happen when they can't just go to the corner and buy it. They're still going to be buying it. They're here, they're going to be doing it. It doesn't make sense for you not to get your piece of it. In addition to that, it's what the voters want. It's already been decided the voters want to be able to get recreational marijuana. So it doesn't make sense for you as representatives of those voters to tell them go someplace else to get it. As far as this being bad for your family, I mean, it is your family. It's your aunts, it's your niece, it's your grandma with glaucoma. This is your family, it's your friends. They're doing it, they've been criminals for a long time, and now they're not. And they deserve to be treated not like criminals, not like somebody who has to drive an hour in the ice and potentially wreck their car and die just to get there. What was medication a week ago and what's perfectly legal now. It just doesn't make sense. That's about all I have to say on the subject.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No questions about it.
Cliff Yankovic, 329 North Monroe. What was the margin that it passed in Lowell? Does it
58% to 42.
58 to
42.
Okay, thanks.
160 people voted for, about 630 against, somewhere around there.
Okay, so it wasn't like a nail biter or anything, it was a pretty...
The township, we approved it, basically.
And that's just Lowell?
Yes.
City of Lowell.
Okay.
Statewide, it was about the
989
same.
to 684 or something.
Yeah, something of that nature.
And the state average is about the same.
Okay, thanks.
Passed in Lowell Township too, right?
Yes.
Did not pass in Virginia.
Not-
right?
Brenda Skur, 538 Flat River Drive. I am less than a mile from the city limits. I've been a Lowell resident for almost 30 years. And this is what was passed, and I'm wondering how many of you have read it. Looks pretty long and lengthy to me, and I'm wondering if you would like to enforce this. It's pretty long and lengthy. But anyways, over the years, I've seen Lowell grow and become a wonderful community for the people to live in. And I don't call Lowell the next place to be, but the place to be. And I've seen so much effort done by Liz Baker and so many others that have moved this community to where it is now. And I ask you, do you want to jeopardize this? And basically I'm asking that you will opt out now like so many other communities have. And also say we do not need to be a guinea pig in this issue. I also ask that you do not allow people who are not part of this Lowell community to sway you into believing that this is a good thing, or those in this community who believe it will create revenue, that you would look into that further. Colorado is a case study, and disturbing trends from Colorado have been that it has been infiltrating the schools. There has been welfare abuse. It has led to the use of harder drugs are on the rise. There is declining academic performance. There's more kids in treatment than ever. There's an uptick in consumption. The other thing is the marijuana of today is not the drug that it used to be in the 70s. The THC levels in the 70s, it used to be 1 to 2%. And now it's 20 to 30%.
Why?
There's also increased impaired driving. These are statistics from Colorado. Youth marijuana use has increased. Crime overall has increased. Homelessness has increased. And there are more heavy users now than before. And honestly, I would be a perfect candidate for the use of medical marijuana. I have had 2 kidney stone surgeries recently, and I am totally against the use. I am also against the you having a dispensary, medical dispensary in the Lowell area. And I hope that you will keep our children, keep our families in mind, and I really appreciate what Krista said. I know she's been in the community a long time too. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Matthew Silverman. I live at 125 South Division. I've been a resident of Lowell for about 7 years now, and I love this community. I look at the changes that have happened since the breweries have come to Lowell and other business opportunities and the economic boom that that's caused. I'm not a user myself, and if I was not a drinker, I wouldn't go to the breweries. If I'm not a smoker, I won't go to the dispensaries, but I do think we should have the opportunity for people to come and purchase what they choose to do. The voters spoke up, and the voters do want this here. I think that the opportunity should be provided for them. I do have one question though, is that if you don't opt out of the ordinance now, are you allowed to do that later if there's issues? Would you be able to come up with an ordinance if you don't act on it today? If there's issues that form, would you be able to come up with ordinances that would then restrict it? Or is this a one shot and done?
You know, there's no answer to that question. There's nothing in the proposal that allows you to later opt out.
So this is a one-time deal? Okay.
Yes.
I would ask that, as a resident of Lowell and a non-user, I think it has a place here. It already is here. I'd like to see the black market take a hard hit because there already is a strong black market. It's already in the schools. I found needles in my front yard, and I'd much rather find somebody's used joint in my front yard than a used needle. I have small kids, and I don't want them around. I know people that smoke. I've seen it. My kids have seen it. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about their safety with the opiates, with people having heroin overdoses in Kaiser's parking lot in my backyard. I don't want that around. I'm not worried about somebody having a marijuana overdose in my backyard. I'm not. You know, I don't see the safety concern. People are going to make bad choices, good choices. People make bad choices with alcohol every day. People make good choices. I think overall it's a good choice for our community to have breweries here. I think it'll be a good choice for the community tax dollars wise, bringing people in. I'd like to see you guys be able to stand there and see the chief be able to go, okay, this guy's leaving here, he's not smoking, go on his way, this guy's smoking, I can pull him over. Whereas, you know, they're leaving houses and going somewhere, that's when you're going to have a hard time keeping up with it. If the businesses are here, you can regulate it, you can keep an eye on them. I think that's going to be the best choice for this community. Thank you.
Anybody else that wants to speak? All right. Oh, yeah, Susie, you have the last one. I'll read mine first. We all should have got this. From Lisa Plank. Hello, I can't make the meeting today, but wanted to register my opinion that I would hate to see marijuana available for sale in Lowell. We've worked hard to make this an inviting and family-friendly town. I believe allowing marijuana sales here is not a good idea. Thank you, Lisa Plank.
Dear City Council members, my name is Danielle Williams. I'm an actual resident of Lowell, and I've lived in Lowell Township or the city of Lowell literally my entire life. I reside at 1815 Veronica Street. I am writing to inform you of my professional opinion on the allowance of commercial marijuana establishments. Since I will be unable to attend in person and express vehemently and passionately my opinion on this matter, I have been a cannabis industry professional for 10 years or longer. I have worked with literally thousands and thousands of people. I've been in magazines, I've consulted with several companies in the industry. My verifiable credentials are through the roof on this subject matter. I'm a professional and a resident, and I want my opinion heard. Holding the meeting at this time that is only convenient for council members and not for the community for which they represent is less than commendable. I personally tried my hardest to attend the meeting in person, but alas, I am unable due to the unfortunate scheduling. Many people I have spoken with agree with me over these actions as well. I feel that there is a large portion of the community that would love to weigh in their opinion on the subject, but find themselves in a similar unfair disadvantage. Having said that, I appreciate the open forum for community opinion on this matter. I would like for the allowance of commercial marijuana establishments in the city of Lowell. I have listed the following reasons based off of both professional and personal knowledge and wisdom. The first reason I feel strongly in favor is because I know what the real users are of the cannabis laws. Cannabis users are misrepresented in the media. The majority of cannabis users are actually elderly and disabled people. Sure, there are some people who are less than favorable using or abusing the system, as there is in any system for anything. I cannot stress enough to you that in all my experience, the immediate answer to who is the demographic, it is always sick and elderly people. I have lost so many clients to cancer, to AIDS, to horrible, painful, slow, and early deaths. Cannabis is universally the one thing that has made a significant difference in all of their lives in one way or another. If it even helps one person whose life could change for the better as a result, is it not worth it? How many people have to suffer or die before it is worth it to you? Does it have to be you or your loved one before you care? How many people that are disabled do you think are capable of attending your public forums on a whim? When I went to vote, I wasn't told that there was an elevator, so I had to struggle down the stairs to cast my ballot. Nobody helped me with the door, even as I struggled. I have scoliosis. Additionally, I was born without entire bones in my spinal column. Every year, more and more of my spinal column disappears until I can no longer walk ever again. I already need a cane to walk around. I am 30 years old. What was life like for you, the council members, at my age of 30? My life is a struggle every single day, every single hour. Getting on and off the toilet or a chair or a couch or a car seat is the worst possible pain you can imagine for me. It's embarrassing and painful. Every time I stand up or sit down, I almost cry from pain. I can't sleep at night while the pain persists. I have chronic insomnia as a result. For several days on end without sleep, just hurting, crying, and tired. I can't do certain activities. When I consume marijuana, my pain is still there, but I forget about it. It is almost like it isn't there. When I am using marijuana, I can actually start to feel like a normal person again, like I used to be. The change is immediate and profound. Using the right type of cannabis can also help me fall asleep immediately. When I have been awake for 5 or 6 straight days from the pain, it is a miracle that I can safely use legal cannabis to break the insomnia cycle and fall asleep for once. Can you imagine how this feels to wake up without sleep and in pain for 6 days in a row while maintaining a family, a job, and a household multiple times per month? What if the only thing that could help you could be taken away from you by the city council because they don't understand pain and suffering like you do? Next, I would like to discuss commercial marijuana establishments differ from the medical marijuana programs. In order to use cannabis, whether medically or recreationally, it has to be grown first. This is not a short process. This is a full-time job. It is very labor-intensive. It is very expensive to grow, and it takes years to learn. The quickest you could ever finish growing cannabis is 6 months from seed to final product. Now imagine an old lady dying of kidney failure or breast cancer, trying to learn and grow a garden full-time, and lifting heavy bags of soil and equipment. Not to mention the incredible dexterity needed to process cannabis. She will need to pay somebody to do this for her. So now she has to find a stranger to trust with her money and her medicine and her help to do the work for her. Maybe he's a criminal, maybe he's a rapist. He was a rapist and he murdered her. This was a true story. Alternatively, she could go to the commercial marijuana establishment, pay them for the products that the state tested and certified safe, pay the high tax to Lowell in the state of Michigan, and be on our way to be a better, happier, healthier, and even giggly evening. Not everybody has safe access to safe marijuana. It is still a very real problem for so many people who need it. Coming from experience, even the people that grow their own marijuana will have no clue how. It will be an even longer before they have the marijuana they need. I have clients with cancer who died before they could harvest their medicine they need to ease the hospice transition. Imagine how their family felt when they found out the city council would not allow commercial marijuana establishments that could have helped their loved ones. What if one day it could help your loved one? What if it helped your loved one already? What if one day you need it? Do you know how to grow it safely? It is not always about money. Marijuana taught me that sometimes it is about love and compassion. Finally, the people of Lowell already spoke their opinion. After having reviewed the results, the people of Lowell voted in majority for the passing of Proposition 1, the legalization of cannabis. The money would come from commercial marijuana establishments to the city. Could be a staggering, imagined payoff of the new park under construction by the river ahead of schedule. What sidewalk is used? Pink arrow, more like green arrow. Poof, money out of nowhere and into the budget. I have friends with commercial level money burning a hole in their pockets if the city council approves commercial marijuana establishments. I personally know at least 100 people who drive to Ann Arbor or Lansing to obtain their safe medicine. Those are dollars walking right out of Lowell at 55 miles per hour and to other townships and cities for no reason. Why are you letting money our community needs walk right out the door? Why would you ever pass on free money? It seems as if the only reason not to be in favor, even after the majority of citizens voted in favor,